I think I always tell people it's time to step up your business game. If you're ready to grow and scale, if you're ready to hire a team, if you're ready to have those 5, 6, 7 branded trucks out on the road and, become that go-to pest control person or that go-to electrician within your community, within your local neighborhoods, it's really time to just up your game. You need that software and that foundation on the back end to really help you run your business.
Hey everyone, I want to welcome you all to the first episode of Ring Savvy's new podcast, which is called Business Savvy. I'm your host, Nick Worker. Now, before we dive into today's interview with the terrific Melisa Meral of Workiz, I want to briefly give you some background information on who we are and what this show will be about. So first off, for those who might not know, Ring Savvy is a 24/7 phone answering service that specializes in answering the phone for field service companies. If you'd like to learn more about our company, we'll provide some contact info in the episode description. If not, we hope you'll stick around anyway. Now on to the podcast. As we mentioned, the show is called Business Savvy, and on it, we'll be dishing out a ton of advice for growing field service businesses. We'll be discussing how to market your company, how to equip it with the right technology, how to hire the right people, how to get 5-star reviews from customers, and pretty much everything else field service business owners need to know these days. If you watch or listen to an episode of this podcast, you're going to walk away feeling like a more savvy business owner. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because we have incredible guests who will be sharing their expertise with us each episode. Speaking of guests, it's about time we introduced our very first guest for the Business Savvy podcast. Melisa Meral is a partnerships manager for the company Workiz, which is one of today's top field service software companies. If you've been considering investing in new software for your company and have questions, there's a good chance they'll be answered in this interview. Now, without further ado, here's our conversation with Melisa. Hi, Melisa.
Hey, Nick, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. We just did a webinar together and now here we are again.
We did. So for anybody watching, Melisa and I are like too good of friends. So listen, just be our friend. Just enjoy this conversation, just you're in the room with us. But so I know you really well. We just did the webinar together. You obviously work for a great company called Workiz. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and a little bit about Workiz for those who aren't really already familiar with you?
Definitely. Yeah. So I'm Melisa Meral. I'm based here in sunny San Diego, California. I work for a tech company called Workiz. We are, a SaaS platform. We're based here in San Diego. We also have offices in Tel Aviv, Israel. And we started way back in 2015. We are specifically a field service management platform, AKA like business management, business operations software, mostly for on-demand home service businesses. So if you can think of anything that's on demand, like plumbing, HVAC, electrical, appliance repair, anything that's like, okay, it's broke, I need it fixed now. Those are typically going to be our service pros that we provide software for.
I always have trouble like explaining it. You did a good job explaining it, but like I had a chimney guy come to my house and he's working on my chimney. He's in my house. What am I going to do? Not talk to the guy? We're talking about business and this and COVID. I'm just getting past COVID. You got to fix. My chimney was leaking, so that's why he's in the house. And he's like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I work for an answering service that answers for people that do what you do." He's like, "For chimney companies?" I'm like, "No, like for field service guys. Anybody that goes out there." So it's exactly like what you said. You said it better. Rewind it. It's what Melisa said. So why would somebody use a service like that? So like, what are some of the biggest advantages that like a field service company would gain from investing in like a SaaS, like what you're saying, service as a software for their business?
Yeah. So a lot of times what we find is that these sort of tradespeople, blue collar workers, folks that really just want to be working with their hands, be out in the field, serving customers, doing what they do best, or maybe managing a team like a fleet of trucks that's out in the field. They're not the most tech savvy. They're not the most adopting of all of these new digital technologies that we have. And so a lot of times when people come to us, they're still using paper and pen. They're still mailing paper invoices. They're still doing, sticky notes all over the desk and whiteboards for their team. And then what happens if somebody accidentally brushes up on the whiteboard and erases the whole day's worth of jobs? It's kind of a mess. So what they do is really come to us, and they're able to streamline their business operations and their business efficiencies. Now more than ever, it's time to really take control of customer communication. So obviously that's why we're also partnered with you guys at Ring Savvy. We know for these folks that are out in the field that they're constantly running around working on jobs, serving customers, answering the phone, wearing all the hats as the CEO. And so we really need to offer them an opportunity to be able to work easier.
I've never thought about that. And we've had some funny, oh, this is why you should do this, or this is why you should do that. But what I've never heard the reason of somebody can erase your whiteboard and then where's the record of it, And it's true. Like me, I like to lean on things, and I'm also a proud idiot. I would definitely lean on a whiteboard and erase somebody's entire work day. And then you got to call all your customers back. What time did I say it was coming?
Yeah.
So that's got me laughing already. So
it could happen for sure. And we've seen it happen. And 9 times out of 10, these folks are coming to us without any sort of actual system in place. Maybe they're using Excel documents, or maybe they're, messing around with some sort of online invoicing system, but none of it's talking to each other. So everything is siloed. And then what happens when you try to grow and scale and you try to hire a team, and, then how do you teach your team? Do you have SOPs in place? Do you have processes? It just becomes a big mess without a system in place.
Agreed. And I'm still oh, why you got chalk all over your back, Nick? Oh, I was leaning. So obviously you follow field services really, really closely. Just the industry as a whole too. So I'm curious, because we're at the tail end, hopefully, of this pandemic, right? Did you see an influx of a lot of customers and a lot of more field service pros getting more open to using technology because of the pandemic?
Yeah, definitely. We saw these industries really booming. So, here in the States, we use the term essential workers, right? Essential services. And so none of these guys shut down, guys and gals, plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, locksmiths, appliance repair folks, they're still working just as usual. And now they're actually working more, because everybody's been stuck in their houses for 15, 16, 17 months, however long we're into this, and stuff's starting to break. So when you have refrigerators at home versus when you were working and going to your 9 to 5 job and the kids were going to school full time, how many more times is your refrigerator being opened now that you've been home for a year and a half? How many more times are you turning on that heater or that AC, or anything, using your stove, cooking at home more because you're not eating out as much? So this stuff's starting to break, and our home service pros are definitely seeing an influx in business, which is great for them. And on top of that, as they're growing and scaling, trying to find talent, trying to grow their teams, goes back to what I said on if you don't have a process in place, how are you able to do that? How are you able to actually grow your sort of money making machine as a service pro if you don't have that foundation? If you're building that business house and you don't have that foundation to start with, the whole thing's going to fall apart.
Again, I like to latch on to one thing that you say. And I opened my fridge a little more than I would have liked during the pandemic too. I got the barrel right here to prove it.
The COVID-19, you put it
yeah,
on.
is that what? Yeah, that's pretty good. It is somewhere around that. We'll just put it that way. So for me, I have the things, and in sales you call it rebuttals, right? Where potential customers will have a bunch of misconceptions about what I do and why they won't want to use a service like mine. So they'll be like, oh, but then you own my phone number, or, what if I want to cancel, or how are you going to send me my message? It doesn't make any sense. I already have a receptionist, I don't need you, blah, blah, blah. And then I try to explain to them, no, your receptionist can take a break, or, doesn't answer your phone at 1 o'clock in the morning. I can. So I'm curious, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about using Workiz, like a product like yours?
Yeah. So along with sort of, entering the digital age, becoming more tech savvy, really taking your business seriously as you're growing and scaling your home service business, I think a lot of times people think that they have to put like multiple band-aids on multiple things and that there can't possibly be an all-in-one solution. We really are an all-in-one solution. We have everything from invoicing to collecting payments to turning leads to jobs with one click, call recordings, voicemail the job with one click, ad performance tracking so that we know where all your ad sources are coming in from. And so a lot of times, even when I'm on the phone with our partners, they're like, well, we still need to have an external ad tracking, click software. No, not really. You can actually just start to cancel a lot of the stuff that you use and start to really use Workies. So I think it's just the idea of getting them out of that like siloed mentality of, I was talking to one appliance repair guy last week, and he was saying how his dispatcher slash admin slash executive assistant that works in the office full time is old school. She likes to have the big paper calendar that's like the size of a desk. And, she's writing in there with her little yellow pencil and erasing stuff and moving stuff around. And it's like, okay, well, what happens when you spill coffee on it? Or what happens when, some wind blows by and all your paperwork flies out the window? There's so many things that can happen where it's just a no-brainer to start to use a software system like Workies.
Yeah, I always, and this reminded me of like a Mark Twain quote, actually, to be really, really nerdy, is everybody's like, oh, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, because then like, what if I don't want to use Workies anymore and I have to leave, and then I got to find a new ad tracking software, a call recording software, I got to move my phone number, I got to move my intake, I got to do it. But it's like Mark Twain says, put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket really closely, um, I don't know why it just made me think of that. I'm a nerd.
Is that where that quote comes from? I never knew that. There's so many American sayings. I'm a first generation immigrant. I have dual citizenship in another country. And like growing up, my parents would just mix all of those things up. So it would be like the ducks in the baskets and the eggs in the rows and
Yep.
lead the donkey to water and all these, like they would mess them all up. So I never knew that that's where that quote came from. Yeah, it's true. Look at it all in one place, all in one system. You don't need to have 55 apps on your phone to run your business anymore.
Yeah. And like what I studied a lot of languages in college. At one point I was fluent in a couple of languages. I don't think so anymore. I'd have to try. But the idioms are always where people get so screwed up. And it's like this common thing that you would mess up, like really says this. So
yeah. And you say it the wrong way, and then they know that you're just a quack and you're a foreigner.
Oh yeah.
It's so true.
So I'm sure that like a lot of the businesses that you work with are at the point, or they're like working towards the point, right, where they're really starting to see growth again. And especially right now. And as a result, they're adding on staff members, they're adding on new customers, they got more things to do, more responsibilities. So how can they use a field service software like yours, like Workiz, to help them sort of stay on track during this time and avoid becoming overwhelmed with this like boom?
Yeah, definitely. So from a CRM perspective, we are known as an FSM, but a term that more people probably know is CRM, so customer relationship management platform. We have a CRM built into our FSM, so it's like an onion, but you can kind of unpeel back all the layers. But from a CRM perspective, you can really track all of your customers' phone numbers, emails, addresses, special job notes. Do they have a dog? Do they have a pit bull that's going to attack the worker when he comes to the house? Do they have a sleeping baby? Don't ring the doorbell. All of these things that you can actually put into the platform so that you're not just trying to store it in your brain. And if you're the business owner and you're trying to hire a team, like you said, it can be really overwhelming to have to remember all of that information and store it in our heads or store it in, sticky notes all over the desk and things like that. So we also integrate with Gusto for small business payroll, which is really cool. So if you are growing your team, you need to be able to pay your subcontractors and your W-2 employees. We integrate with Gusto. We integrate with QuickBooks Online for accounting so that all the systems are talking to each other. MailChimp for email marketing, Company Cam for job site photos. So a lot of times with these guys, they report to like insurance companies. And so they actually have to document where they were, the latitude, longitude, the timestamp of when the photo was taken, so that all of it can be credentialed and paid back, through the insurance company. So we have a lot of really cool integrations. We're very gritty in that sense. We're pretty scrappy in getting on new integrations when our customers need something. So if they're like, hey, we want a payroll solution. Hey, we want an accounting solution. Hey, we need a photo documentation system. We'll just throw out an integration. It's pretty cool to see how rapidly we work. And then one of the things too is we're also starting to integrate with a lot of service pro marketplaces. So actually just today, at the time of this recording, we are integrating with Thumbtack. So a lot of home service pros use Thumbtack. I'm sure you've heard of that. And this way, with one click, they can actually turn their leads from Thumbtack into a scheduled job within Workiz.
I used to use Thumbtack, so I know what that is. I'm
Me
very happy. I'm
too.
proud of myself.
What did you use it for? Like hiring someone in your home, or did you have your own business?
I was doing like freelance stuff, but I also have used Thumbtack to hire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of both ways. And I used Thumbtack like probably 7 or 8 years ago. So I
Yeah,
haven't even thought of that in a while. I bet you if I looked into it now, it's probably really updated and cool.
it's been
Huh.
around for a long time. I actually used it in my home, that I have a home
Yeah.
organization business. And I used it to gain a ton of leads in my business, probably back in like 2018, 2019. So yeah, they've been around for a while, and now it's really cool to kind of be on the other side of it. And, from a software standpoint.
My wife now knows you by name, but when like we were first becoming partners and friends and all that, she called you Marie Kondo, which I think is really funny. And so you guys do a lot of stuff, right? And I think it's so easy to get like organized when you have a CRM, right? Because you can track everything, you can put everything, into it. But from my perspective, like none of this is really useful unless you can get customers and so like Thumbtack, that's a really great example of like getting customers into your pipeline. So I know that you guys also do like ad management and all these other tips for field service companies, but I'm curious because during the webinar that we just had, right, we were talking about the importance of lead capturing for growing your business. So do you have any tips from your expertise for field service companies on how they can improve their lead capturing process?
Definitely. Yeah. So kind of a funny story. Our company way back in the day, prior to 2015, when we started this amazing tech company, we were started by locksmiths here in the San Diego area, a couple of guys, surfer bros that just decided to start their own business. Yeah, exactly. Hang 10. And they had a bunch of flip phones. So remember the old flip phones, long before the smartphone days, and they would tie different phone numbers to different ads. So they would have like a billboard ad, a yellow pages ad, a newspaper ad, all of these different types of ads prior to the digital age, prior to the Googles and the Yelps and the Facebooks and Instagram. And that way, whenever that phone rang, that particular flip phone, they would know, oh, that's
Yep.
coming from the newspaper. That's
Yep.
coming from the penny saver. And so it was really cool that they could double down on where their ROI was coming from, where they were seeing a return on investment of their ad dollars. And now, what that looks like within Workiz, our users can get awesome insights into what we call offline conversions, aka what happens once that ad is clicked. So, sure, you can spend all this money on ad dollars and your ads might be getting clicked, but is the person clicking away from your page? Are they just like calling 10 pros because they're just trying to get a bargain and get a bunch of quotes? Does it actually turn into a scheduled job? Does it get canceled? Does it get rescheduled? You can go through the whole funnel and have them click it, talk to them on the phone, or have Ring Savvy talk to them on the phone. And then they cancel it at the last minute, or they no show because they forgot that they have a doctor's appointment or whatever. So within Workiz, we can actually track to see, did it turn into a paid job? What was the return on investment? What was the profit margin on actually closing that job? Or was it a cancellation, a reschedule, a no show, in progress? It's stalled for some reason because you're waiting for a part or whatever. So it's really cool to see the data. I think data and transparency and having those insights is crucial to be running your business these days. And when you're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that your ads are working, you're probably wasting your money.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So I'm in the process of building something custom like this for myself too, because I took over. This is like my second year as like the director. I run the department. I run the show here, right? Um, but like we've had tracking in place, for our ads. But we've never been able to like, and specifically because we do a free trial, we don't really get paid until like 6 months out. And then I got to know my break even rate. So we're collecting all this data now so that we can tell our ad partners like, hey, this is where spending our money actually worked versus, oh, we spent all this money on this ad and we got a ton of leads, but none of them converted or even tried the free trial. So we want to be able to, you want to be able to move your money around with velocity and like really have these like I don't know.
Robust reporting
Yeah,
features.
thank you. Seriously.
Yeah.
This is why I love you.
Peanut butter and jelly, Nick.
Yeah, we are. That's what I'm saying. And so I used to be like a hustler, right? Like I kind of still am. My wife hates me, but I do freelance catering on the side on the weekends and stuff. And I live on Long Island, so I got the Hamptons, right? You go out to the Hamptons, they just throw money at you to do catering jobs, which I love because I love money. But there's one time and I was only like 19 or 20. So I didn't have any money because I was just blowing it all, going out, partying, trying to meet women and stuff. And I showed up early to a catering gig because it takes hours to get out to the Hamptons from me. Show up early and I decide I'm going to go to this gas station. I'm going to gas up my car. I'm going to go inside and get a Red Bull and a scratch off lotto ticket. I go inside, Red Bull, scratch off lotto ticket, something else. I don't even know how I did it because I've never done this before in my life. And I locked my keys in my car. And this is before I even worked for Ring Savvy too. I was doing a bunch of other stuff. And I had to call a locksmith. And I was really mad because I had to use the ATM because I'm so cheap and I had to pay the fee for the ATM to pay this locksmith guy. But he was there in like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm just thinking about what you're saying. Like if that guy could only like get it together enough to know like, oh man, where did this kid find me? Where did he Google me from? But you just brought me back to how much of an idiot I am. And also like, this is so, you don't even think about this in your daily like business life, right? You're like, oh, the money's coming in, I don't really care. But if you're really trying, if you really do care, if you really are trying to grow and scale, you need the insights, you need the data, because how are you going to make decisions otherwise? If those guys didn't have at that time, we'll excuse them because of the flip phones, right? But at that time, if they didn't have separate flip phones and it's all coming through to one number, they're did you find me on the yellow pages? Did you find me on this? It's not reliable. You're not going to be able to track it like that. So a platform like yours that follows it all the way through from the first call when you get the intake to like the ad spend, right? And then all the way through, this is how much money I made off of this ad spend. Oh, I'm going to double down on that. Oh, this one didn't get me anything. I'm going to remove that and take that money and put it in one that actually worked, or try something new. I'm rambling now.
Yep.
But you get what I'm saying.
You have to pivot. Yeah. You've got to be agile and just, stop wasting money on stuff that's not giving you an ROI, period.
Yeah. And if you go inside a gas station, do not forget your keys, because I did. So I feel like a lot of the platforms that I've researched, and this is how I was made aware of you, right? Is Joe's my right-hand man, head of PR here. We were doing research on field service management platforms because we wanted to be able to recommend them to our customers. So we're just trying to get our stuff together, and we're looking through all these platforms, and we kind of are moving towards like a cashless society. As much as some people hate it, I love it. I don't carry cash anywhere, but we really are. And if you're not offering your customers the ability to pay without cash or whatever they want, look, we might be moving to Bitcoin. Who knows? But how important is it, do you think, for businesses to be able to offer customers the ability to make payments online, just without cash.
Yeah, it's super important. Honestly, I don't really know anyone that uses cash or checks anymore. I write one check a month and it's for an archaic company that doesn't accept any other option of payment, and I have to mail it and it's a pain in the butt. Cash, I recently took a trip. I finally, have traveled my first plane ride in the past year and a half of the pandemic. And I had some extra spending cash. Like, for some reason, cash seems almost like fake for me. Like, it's just a piece of paper and it doesn't affect my bank account. So I had a bunch of cash and I was like, I hate this. I don't miss this. Cause then you have all the coins and then you're, scrambling when you're trying to pay. People behind you are getting frustrated. Why aren't you just using your phone for your Apple Pay or whatever? So it's stressful. And so especially as we get into the higher ticket price points, like what we see in HVAC or with appliance repair, it's crucial that you offer payment options, or you offer, even some of them offer payment plans. Hey, you can't spend the $5,000 up front. Okay, we're going to do this, that, or the other. Here at Workiz, we integrate with a company called Chase Bank, and we offer our users WePay options so that they can actually accept credit card payments. And then with one click, they can send payment links via text or via email to their customers. So, I know you're a millennial, I'm a millennial. As millennials are becoming more and more homeowners, right? We all need these essential home services, even in apartments and condos and all over the place. If somebody's going to just be able to text me a payment link and I'm able to pay with one click on my phone, amazing. That's so much easier than scrambling around for cash or checks, or what's your Venmo username or what's your PayPal username. It's just a lot easier when it's all in one place.
The last time I wrote a check was literally when I bought my house, because you have to. You can't show up without a paper check. But if I could have shown up and just like swiped my credit card, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Get the points,
Put a house on a credit card. What would those points look like?
I used to put when I had an apartment, I used to put my rent on my credit card. I thought that was awesome. I would get the cool. I was like, oh, I'm getting 1% back on my rent.
$10.
Fight the system. So I want to talk about like referrals, right? Because in the field service industry, like referrals and repeat customers are like the bread and butter, right? So if you do a good job for somebody once, I mean, the odds are, and I'm sure you have data on this, the odds are they're going to come back to you, right? So I know that like the best way to get a repeat customer, right, is to provide a great experience, right? It doesn't really matter the price, because they really are only focused with one thing, is the job that you did and kind of like the experience that they had from you overall. So how can companies use softwares like Workiz to improve their overall customer experience?
Yeah, I think it's so important to look buttoned up in the eyes of customers. So even if you are a 1-man, 2-man, 3-man, 4-man show, do you have a uniform? Do you have a branded vehicle, or even just a car magnet that you're sticking on if you don't have a truck wrap yet, or things like that, where you just show up, people can start to know you and like you and trust you. They're inviting you into their home. They're inviting you into their private, safe space, so to speak. And so they need to know you and like you and trust you, and you need to look professional. You need to be seen as the expert. So, with Workiz, I hear all the time from our partners, especially like in the appliance repair space and the junk removal space, wow, Workiz actually makes me feel like a 5-star business, or it makes me feel like I'm running a Fortune 500 company. With Workiz, you get the masked phone number. So just like you would order an Uber, Postmates, DoorDash, anything like that, you're getting a masked phone number so that your customers and clients don't actually have your personal info, nor do they have your text info. So, your subcontractors can't go and steal clients anymore, because everything's tracked within the Workiz system. And then same with like even invoicing. So for those customers that don't want to just pay automatically, they don't want to do, the WePay option, you can actually invoice customers, customize your branding, your logo, your colors, put a little thank you note in there. There's so much that you can do within Workiz to really improve that customer experience.
That's awesome. And it's so cool when you get that like compliment like that, right? Where you're working with somebody and it's easy to just like go in, punch the clock, and like, yeah, I work for this company, we do things for our customers. But then you get the feedback from the customer, like I know for me, where they're like, yeah, nobody believes that you guys aren't in my office. You guys make me sound like such a big official business, and I'm just one guy with a truck.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also crazy how much that stuff matters too, right? Like if you hire a plumber and he shows up and just like, I don't know, his family pickup truck, you're like, okay, like I'm not going to judge this guy based on his truck. But if they show up in like a branded van with a uniform, like you just feel like you can trust, the legitimacy of that, right? You want legitimate. You don't want somebody who's like, is this guy even insured? Like coming into my house? I don't know about this. Um, so I just love how you phrase that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I always tell people it's time to step up your business game. If you're ready to grow and scale, if you're ready to hire a team, if you're ready to have those 5, 6, 7 branded trucks out on the road and, become that go-to pest control person or that go-to electrician within your community, within your local neighborhoods, it's really time to just up your game. You need that software and that foundation on the back end to really help you run your business.
That's so true. I don't even think about the importance of like rapid because you see them on the road, right? Like I see them every morning going out to work because I have like a half-hour commute. But so I started here 7 years ago, almost 8, 7, 8, something like that. And when we moved into this building, there was a guy that we work with who does all HVAC. And he was like kind of big. He was doing good, making good money. Nice guy, got like 2 or 3 trucks. Um, but he went so legit. Like he started using us as a partner. I know he has some software that he uses. He's got an office full of people doing all like, digital marketing and data analysis and all that. He's got like 10 trucks now. They're all like full vinyl wrapped with the roof on it. And it just looks so legit. And you're right. It's time to step up your business. If you want to grow and make more money, if that's what you care about, other than, like I'm sure there's some people who don't care about it. And you're probably not watching this. Let's be real with ourselves. But if you're watching this, I take it that you care. It's time to legitimize yourself. Listen to Melissa. She knows what she's talking about. Trust me, I listen to her. So what would be your final message to that today to those field service business owners that feel like they have their own way of doing things, and they I don't really want to try something new, they're a little resistant to adopting new technology. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think it's definitely time to enter the digital age. Stop using pen and paper, sticky notes, whiteboards that Nick is going to come over and accidentally wipe off, Excel documents that don't talk to anything else. It's definitely time to take your business to the next level and give it a try. We do a 14-day free trial with no credit card required. So a lot of these companies, you have to put in a credit card and then you forget to cancel the trial, and we've all done that, and then we're getting this random charge for 6 months and we don't even know what it's for, right? So we don't even require a credit card. 14 days free. And Nick, you have generously provided us with a discount code for those users that might be watching this and just saying, hey, okay, maybe Melissa's right, maybe Nick's right, it's time to up your game, it's time to enter the digital age. Nick's offering your first 3 months at 30% off by using RingSavvy's special offer located at just Workiz, WORKIZ.com/ring savvy, all one word.
And I will post a bunch of stuff from Melissa and Workies in general in the description of this video, wherever you're watching it, / Spotify, YouTube, Apple. I don't know where it is. It's everywhere. Joe puts it everywhere. Joe, he's my guy. He does it all. But yeah, Melissa, this is why I love you. You're peanut butter. I'm jelly. Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And we're so excited to partner with you guys. We just know that missed calls equals missed money. And as much as these service pros can have support in their business operations, whether it's through call tracking, call recording, somebody answering the phone for them when they're under a sink with their head under a, toilet or whatever, we've got to help these guys out, especially as essential businesses. So
I hope their
super
heads are not
appreciate.
in the toilets, but
I know I said that kind of
yeah.
wrong. I'm like, they're either under the sink again with the English speaking,
Yep.
with the idioms.
It's all good.
Thanks again for having me on.
Thank you.